practically, how are you going to deliver those internships? It's all very well saying you can apply somewhere, but...
We've got a list of businesses that are prepared now to take people on, some of the most well-known and reputable businesses in the country. We reckon that Yvette Cooper's here with us today, and she might be able to talk to you afterwards, because she's been pioneering these internships, getting not just the health service and other sort of public organisations to do it, but some of the most successful companies in the country. So if you're interested in that, I can get you information on that. Internships, one way to get the experience so that you can then get on to get the full-time job.
That's a promise, Alex. OK, thank you, Alex. Let's hear from Andrew Barry, if we can. Andrew, if you want to stand up, we'll get a microphone to you and you can ask your questions to the Prime Minister.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi there. We're often hearing conflicting reports about property prices in Wales, but after the boom of a few years ago, and more importantly, the recent credit crunch, what will you do to kickstart the housing market for first-time buyers in Wales to help them get their foot on the ladder? And really, because of the constraints we currently have today with funding and mortgage availability that is out there?
Right, I agree with you. Look, there's a pent-up demand for housing. Lots of young people want to get their first step on the housing ladder and are being prevented from doing so at the moment. What we've done in the budget, I don't know if you saw that, is we've abolished their stamp duty for first-time buyers to a certain level. So that is available as a more cheap way of buying the first house. It gets the cost down. The second thing we've done is what's called shared equity, and it will become more popular in the years to come. And that is where you can't buy 100% of the house at the moment, but you can buy 60, 70 or 80 or even 50% of the house. And you go into partnership with the building society or the builder if it's a new house, or even the government and a housing association in some cases. So take the two together, shared equity and the stamp duty relief for first-time buyers, and you've got a chance to get into the housing market when probably it would have been very difficult otherwise. So these are the two things that are now available to you. I'd also say that, you know, in America, they built far too many houses. And one of the reasons that house prices have really kept down in America is there's just too many houses for the numbers of people in America. In Spain, you may be interested to know that they overbuilt houses, so house prices will continue to fall for some time. But in Britain, there is more demand for houses. We didn't overbuild houses. In some cases, we haven't built enough houses for the demand that is there. And so I would expect property prices to stabilise. I would also expect young buyers to get relatively low interest rates, because we're keeping interest rates low, the stamp duty exemption, and if you want to try and get onto the first rung of the ladder, shared equity is there as one possible option available to you. So I want to see people meeting their dreams of getting the first rung on the housing ladder. It may not be the house that they'll end up with in the end, but get their first chance on the housing ladder, and that's possible now under these proposals.
But this must come down to the banks again, mustn't it? And the banks need to be more willing to lend money and take a gamble on young people.
We've done what no country's done. We've signed what you call lending agreements with the banks. Look, my unhappiness with the banks is that they took out far too much money for themselves and didn't leave themselves with enough money to keep their deposits safe. And we had to come in and make sure that no depositor, no saver lost a penny as a result of the financial crash. Now we've got to get them lending again. So what we're doing is we're signing agreements with RBS and with Lloyds, TSB and all these banks and saying, you must lend a certain amount this year. And we will monitor what you're doing. And if people like my friend who wants to start her own business is not getting satisfaction from the banks, complain to us, and we've got an adjudicator that will look at what the banks are doing in the next few months. So I want to make sure that there is enough money to be lended. Now, if people have got complaint about the charges or the rate of interest, or about the expenses, the extra expenses and extras that are being levied by the banks, come and tell us and we'll take action.
Lovely, thank you very much. Let's hear, if we can then, from a first-time voter. Rhiann Greaves from Coleg Glan Havron, right in the front. Hi, Rhiann, we'll get a microphone to you.
Hi, Rhiann, how are you?
Just give us 2 seconds.
There's a mic
just so we can all hear your question.
I'm 18 years old and I'm studying my A-levels at the moment, and I'm about to vote for the first time. I feel that MPs are out of touch with young people want. Why should I vote?
Because when politics fails, people lose jobs. When politics fails, people can lose their homes, as we found in the 1990s mortgage repossessions. When politics fails, businesses can go under. When politics fails, you don't have a good health service. When politics fails, you don't have good schools. And so it does matter to you and what happens, because if politics succeeds, we can have more jobs, If politics succeeds, we can have better public services. If politics succeeds, we can have people with better prospects for the future. And the only reason I'm in politics, I'll be honest, I did not think when I was young that I was going to be in politics. The only reason I'm here is I saw what was happening around me, and I saw young people not getting proper chances, and I saw people that were at school with me leaving school because they didn't see that they had a chance of getting onto a college or university because their parents didn't have the money to do so. And I saw lots of people being made unemployed as a result of what was happening in my area, which is very similar to Wales, where the mining industry was collapsing. And I thought there was something we could do about it. And I thought, if we work together, you can actually make a difference. And, you know, if I stopped being able to make a difference, I'd leave. But I think when you're looking at your vote, it does affect the number of jobs. You see, this year, we've got a recovery that is happening, but it's not strong enough. It's fragile. Take money out of the economy this year, and you'll have more unemployment. As we see today, there's a possibility because it's fragile. You'll have more businesses go under or not being able to start, like the hairdressing business we're talking about today. So we are saying you've got to keep the money in the economy this year. You've got to get this recovery. It's got to be sustained. Otherwise, you'll not get a job. Others will not get the chances of a job. Now, the Conservative policy, I'll be honest with you, I'm angry with them because just at the time we need to help people get into work, they're taking money out of the economy. They don't support our Future Jobs Fund, and that's 10,000 jobs in Wales already, 17,000 to come. They don't support what we're doing to help school leavers. They don't support the money that we're putting in to make sure we have this economic recovery. And every other country in the world that's thinking about the recovery knows it's fragile and are doing something. And we are at odds with the Conservatives, who seem to be the only party that want to take money out. That's the difference. And let's be honest, there is a difference of opinion. There's a conflict of opinion. We think sustain the recovery. They would put it at risk. And that's, in a way, why politics is important, because you've got to make a choice. And I think we have got the best offer because we want to equip our country for the future, and we are best for jobs for the future.
But Prime Minister, if you are 18 years old and all you're hearing about is sleaze in Westminster, MPs' expenses, how the whole lot of you are corrupt, and you know, you might be thinking to yourself, why should I vote? Why should I bother?
Well, I've explained why I'm in public service and want to do the things I do. I'm not in it for the money, not in it for wealth or privilege or anything else. I don't really care about titles at all. That's me. But if MPs make mistakes, and I'll be very, very straight with this, any MP who makes mistakes should be out. And anybody who's standing as a candidate for the Labour Party has got to prove that everything that they do is completely transparent, above board, and they're not trying to game the system. And anybody who's made a mistake is out. And anybody who's done wrong is the right for us to discipline them and make sure they don't come back again. And what I want is a referendum in this country, so all of you make a choice next year about a new kind of House of Commons, a new kind of House of Lords. I mean, you know, you can't sort this out in one election. What you've got to do is have a referendum. Do you want a House of Commons elected by every MP to be elected by the majority of people? House of Lords no longer appointed, but elected. Why should people who got a title because their grandfather had a title still be running parts of our decision-making in this country? So we'll have a referendum on a new House of Commons and a new House of Lords. You, the people, will have the chance to make the vote. And that's about how we can establish a new politics. And if an MP has misbehaved and has done corrupt activity and Parliament doesn't take action, you, the voters, will have the right to recall that MP. That's how strongly I feel about it.
Thank you very much. OK, we've got a few more questions, but before we take those, we can take a question from the floor. If anyone didn't have a question to ask but would like to ask one now, can you put your hand up and we'll see if we can get to you.